So it may not seem like it today, but I actually started off being very, very shy. As a child, I used to hide behind my parents' legs whenever an adult came by, when we would go out to the grocery store or anything. I was so shy. And as an adult, I actually really didn't have any friends, didn't go out, didn't really know what it was like to socialize with people until I was almost 30 years old. I had never been to a bar. So at about 30 is when I started my Lean Six Sigma career, just before that. And I really realized within that I had a choice. Either I'd start learning to be more confident and facilitating with confidence, or I take a job that's more administrative, where I don't get the opportunity to actually affect change with people. So I decided to challenge myself. For 30 days, I went out every single day and did something social. And I did that till I started getting comfortable. Now, eventually that became normal, and now I'm comfortable making friends, going out, talking to people that I don't know, networking events, mixers. Those are all comfortable spaces for me now. But as you can imagine, with this complex of being so shy, the idea of actually facilitating a team can be quite intimidating. So I want to share with you some of the tips that I've got along the way that I felt were very helpful. So 1, if you have a presentation where you have to stand up, where you're going to stand up and present, make sure that you stand up about 30 seconds or a minute before the presentation. Because sometimes when we first stand up, we get a little bit of blood rushing to our head, of our body kind of adjusting, and it makes us extra nervous when we first stand up and jump up in front of people. So give yourself a chance first to stand up, to get comfortable in that position. Maybe just stand in the back of the room as you prepare, and the person before you kind of finishes up. The next thing is, as you stand there and you look out on your crowd, what I want you to do is identify one person that you know is going to be supportive. Whether this is on Zoom, whether this is actually physically in a room, it doesn't matter if you can see their face. So focus on that person that you can see their face and you know that they're going to be supportive. And just keep eye contact with that first person. Focus on that person as if you're giving the speech just to that person. Now, even with this, we might feel a bit jittery. We might feel a bit uncomfortable. We might feel that energy inside us. So consciously in your mind, take a deep breath when you feel all of that nervousness and energy. You're going to take a deep breath and you're going to try to direct that in a different way. So all of that energy, all that jitteriness, put that into your presentation. Make that the excitement that comes out, the energy that comes out about the project you're working on, about whatever activity we're about to do. So use that energy in a different way. And you can do that consciously if you just take a minute and try to kind of redirect that energy. The next one's kind of a silly one, but it does seem that I use it, even though I would say at the time I probably thought it was ridiculous. So when I did my master's at Imperial College of London, we actually had a professional come in and talk to us about public speaking. And one of the things that they told us, which I thought was quite odd, is pretend you're holding a beach ball. So when you think about where you should move your arms around, and if you're getting too big and wild, or if you're staying too small and you're putting your hands in your pockets and jiggling change, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be making these extra noises. So keep your hands in a place that you would if you were holding a beach ball. So if there was a beach ball in front of you, this is where you're going to move your hands. So I actually, even though that one's ridiculous and people always laugh at me for offering it, I actually find it to be quite helpful because I actually end up using it quite a lot. Let's just talk about general facilitation of meetings. So one of the things people will really, really respect is the stronger you are as a facilitator. So if you start and stop your meetings on time, this is something that other people are really going to appreciate. If you have a clear agenda prepared before you go into the meeting, that can help you, but that can actually also help the people attending. One thing we don't realize is that all of us are different. And for me, I can jump into something and just go with the flow. Let's see what happens. But other people, they need to know what's going to happen next. It makes them uncomfortable and anxious. If they don't know where this meeting is going, what's going to be brought up? What if it's something that's important to me? What's the activity after this? I don't know. This can create anxiety for people. So by offering people an agenda at the beginning, you're actually able to have a team with you that's more on board and comfortable with what's going on, which can help you as a facilitator, right? That makes it easier for you as a facilitator. One of the things that I also do if I'm preparing for a meeting I'm particularly nervous about is it's important when we get into a meeting that we have confidence in like that first 1 minute. And if you get that confidence in that first 1 minute, that first speech that you're going to give, that's going to help give you momentum for the rest of the meeting. If you fumble over those beginning ones, that's going to make you a little more nervous. So what I want to do is make sure that when you jump into that meeting, you have that first minute down. Now you can know that first minute by either writing it out. What I like to do if I'm really nervous for an event or a meeting, what I do is I actually record my voice. So I have like the little voice recorder on our phones, and I'll record my voice saying what that first minute of the speech is or recording the entire speech that I'm going to give. And then I listen to that back. So then when I'm driving in the car or I'm taking a walk, I can listen to that a few times. And it starts to become like the way that you talk. It just becomes really natural for you to say these sentences because you've heard them over and over and over again. Kind of like commercials that you can quote, right? So this is another thing that you can do to make yourself feel more comfortable as you step in front of that crowd. An additional tip that I think is really interesting is that when you look at people's movements, when you look at how they're sitting or how they're putting their hands, right? One of the things that you can look for is if they're mirroring what you're doing. If they're mirroring if they are mirroring what you're doing, they're with you, right? They're really paying attention and they're into the moment and they might not even realize how much you've got their attention and that they're interested in this topic. So one of the things that you can look out for as a facilitator to see the comfort of the people in the room and of your team is if they're kind of mirroring behaviors that you're doing. If they are, that's a great sign. That's something that tells you kind of you're on the right track, you're as a team. If you see people that are doing a lot of this, kind of falling in on themselves, that's not a good sign. Those are people that maybe need to be drawn out, or maybe after the meeting, you need to take them aside and chat with them. So that's just a few of my tips on facilitating with confidence. So one piece is making you feel comfortable. Another piece is making sure that the team that you're coaching or that you're leading or that you're just reporting out to feels comfortable and is on board.